Hey everyone, how you doing today? My subject for today is Filipino women and my experiences with them, and hopefully this could give you guys some tips, tricks, help, or anything like that if you're thinking about searching for a Filipino woman, or you're currently talking to one, in a relationship with one, and you're starting to have your doubts about them, I should say. And some of their stories might be a little crazy or something like that every now and then. But first and foremost, I've never been scammed by a Filipino woman. They've definitely tried a lot. That's for sure. But really, scammers are all over the world. And it just so happens that, Filipino women do have a real nasty reputation of being scammers. And I think a lot of that has to do is because majority of us foreigners, as they like to call us, even though technically they're foreigners to us, a lot of foreigners do go to the Philippines. And I think Thailand too, but I think Philippines a lot. And so I think that's how that reputation is kind of like, really blowed up or whatever it is. But with that being said, I've had a fair majority of them, definitely tried to tempt me, that's for sure. And through Facebook, more than anything, because I don't go on those dating websites or anything like that. I'm not into that too much. So, one thing about the Filipino women, and really Filipino people in general, is they do know English good. They know it a lot better than they like to admit. But, their English is not, like the typical standard American English. It's pretty generic in a lot of ways compared to what a lot of us here in the United States do speak it. And they seem to have a few little things backwards. And the two things that comes right off my mind at first is somehow they like to refer to as a man as a woman and a woman as a man. Like, they'll a man's a she and a woman's a he. A boy's a niece and a girl's a nephew. They get that backwards all the time. You have to correct them sometimes. And I do believe that probably has caused problems with people over the years of, hey, wait a minute here. Why is he saying she, or why is he saying she, or something like that? It kind of like, you get them words twisted around. It can, it makes you pause for a second, like, what exactly are they talking about? Have they skipped something or something like that? If you are currently talking to a Filipino woman, here's some good advice for you if you have not visited them yet, but you have plans of it, which we can't do nothing until this pandemic's over with. When you go there to visit them, you're going to meet a lot of their family, more often than not. But you always want to be aware of the surroundings. And, pay close attention to, especially, the men. If you're going to go over there and see a woman, just pay close attention to the men that are there. And also, kind of like, without making it too obvious, give a little quick stare down of everybody, and see if they all kind of look the same or whatever it is. And, make sure that there ain't that one little face in the crowd that looks different, especially a man. And then if, that just so happens, then happen to notice how the girl you went to go visit and that different looking person interact with each other. More often than not, and this is just from my experience, but I'd say a lot of people have had this same experience. I'd say about 80% of the women that has contacted me are in relationships with locals there. They'll tell you it's just a boyfriend or something other like that. And what you got to be aware of too is like a lot of these excuses that they like to make. If you just so happen to say, hey, how come this person looks different? How come you act different with this person and all that stuff like that? Is they'll say, oh, it's my brother, or they'll say a classmate. They like, people you went to school with, they refer them to as classmates. And a gay cousin and stuff like that. But, if something don't look right, it usually ain't. And, if you do video calls with them or something like that, and you just happen to see strange faces that, you don't normally see in the background or whatever it is. And, and they tell you that same thing. Oh, it's a brother, a gay cousin, neighbor, friend, my brother's friend or something other like that. If it's giving you doubt, most likely chances are there's a reason for that doubt. So you always want to keep that in mind, especially when you go there and when you do video calls and stuff like that. Like I said, just be aware of your surroundings. And I tell you, if you're actually really serious about a Filipina, my suggestion of it is it's almost mandatory. You need to go there and visit them. Because seeing them in person is a lot different than seeing them in video. Because, in video, the only thing you see is that flat screen. You can't see what's, maybe going on the other side of the screen somewhere, And, but in person, they can't hide that. And, it tells a lot. The two main ports of entry there in the Philippines is Manila and Cebu. So, if they are willing to meet you there, that's good. But if they don't want to go back to their home city, then there just might be a problem. There might be a reason for it. So, there's like a lot of red flags because they're very clever women. They know that foreigner men are attracted to them, and they take advantage of that. So, but, they try to think that a lot of us are stupid when actually we're not. So, you almost got to play poker with them and keep that poker face with them. You don't want them to know what you're thinking until the time is right. Another thing to be well aware of with these Filipino women, and I know this has been questioned many a times, and I've actually questioned a lot of them many of times on this, is, there's a example here. A 55-year-old man, he starts talking to a Filipino woman, and they just so happen to be younger. Let's say low 20s to early 30s. And she's always continuously saying Filipino women are full of heart, they make good partners, and the always classic age don't matter. But especially if they use Facebook a lot, which means they're going to have tons and tons of pictures, you always see them with Filipino people, men, their age. And so, you got to question yourself of is how come they don't have a problem of being with a Filipino that is their age and don't have a lot of money. Basically live broke and poor is the words that that they use. I'm not doing any kind of cut down or any disgrace to any Filipino people. I'm just giving examples and stuff like that. But yet, when it comes to a foreigner man, this early 20-year-old girl or mid 20-year-old girl don't want a early 20-year-old foreigner or a foreigner their age or just a slight couple of years older than them. They want that retired foreigner They want that old foreigner because that retired old foreigner has that thing called guaranteed retirement money, guaranteed pension money. So, and I've actually been told before by an older Filipino woman, I think she was like in her mid-50s, that she would message me sometimes. We would talk normal stuff. And she told me that Filipino women do prefer the older foreigner, is because they know that the older foreigner who does get that retirement and pension is considered guaranteed money. Income. Not for the Filipino, but that's what the foreigner's getting. Regardless of whatever it is, he's guaranteed on that certain amount of day, on that certain month, that money's coming. They know how much it is, so they don't have to do any guesswork, because it's guaranteed money. That's what they're looking at. And another words that she said is that the reason why the majority, not all, majority of the Filipino women don't want a younger, not retired foreigner, as they like to call us, is because, they're still working, they're still in the workforce, which means that, their time has to be dedicated to work, and that really there's no guarantee of how much that income is going to be from week to week, month to month, year to year. Yeah, it might be higher one year, less the next. It's not the same. So, and I never really thought about it too much, but man, I tell you, the more I thought about it than, dealing with the many Filipinos that had contacted me, doing their little asking for money and stuff like that, and, hey, refer me a friend and all that good stuff. That woman wasn't too far off about what she was saying. And, I keep that in mind. I really do. So, and another thing that you really need to keep good track of and need to have a good understanding of, and I tell you, this is something that I've taught myself to do, and actually I did this by accident one day, and I realized, hey, this is good. This gets real guaranteed results. And I would say at least do this once a week, but if you want to do it more or less or whatever it is, or just do it on a so-called case-by-case basis by any of the Filipinos that contact you, is you always want to be aware of three things that goes on in the Philippines. That's typhoons, earthquakes, and volcanoes. Just do a little simple search, and what's the current situation in the Philippines as far as disasters, weather, whatever it is. Because one thing I found out is, if there's a earthquake that happened on the northern tip of the Luzon Island, then some of the scamming ones in very southern Mindanao, which is nowhere near northern Luzon, will contact you, maybe not, and say, major earthquake here, and show you some pictures that they copied off the internet, saying, oh, this is my neighborhood or something like that, please help me or something. So you need to be well aware of that. If they happen to give you a name of a typhoon or something like that, or a name of a volcano, search it. Immediately search it. Earthquakes, they don't have names for them, so you want to maybe search something like current earthquake in Philippines, whatever it is. Google will tell you where it's at and when it happened or anything like that. So be very well aware of that. That's something I keep very much track on. I mean, it's come so much common for me that, I can pretty well tell that when a disaster happens there, which there was a earthquake there recently in Mindanao. I think it was right around the Pagadian City area. As soon as I heard that, I says, okay, it's going to be a matter of time that somebody that lives nowhere near that area is going to tell me, major earthquake just hit here, home is destroyed, please help me. I mean, it hasn't happened, but it's come to the point that in my mind I'm prepared for it. It just comes natural to me now because it's happened to me so many times before. Like doing that volcano in where was it at? It was right around Batangas, in between like Batangas and Manila, earlier this year. I would have ones that would be far away, like way down in near Butuan City or something like that, or would message me, hey, we had a major earthquake here, or a volcano in this case, please help me. Or they might say, can you please donate some money to help some of those victims and stuff like that. So where there's so many of the Filipino women that is looking for a reason to try to get money from foreigners, you really don't know or how to separate who from who and what from what. Like I said, man, just be cautious. Be real cautious with them. There is some good women. I've met some good women. I've been there 3 different times, and my experience has been okay, at the very least. And could have went better, yeah. Could have went worse, yeah. Could have went a lot worse. So hopefully this will help you out. Like I said, I'm not doing this to disrespect anything about the Filipino people or the Filipino country or the Filipino women, because like I said, my experience has been okay with them. You do get those ones that'll really come at you, to try to get that money. But, there's also ones that really not interested in too much. They just want to talk or something like that. But there is some kind of expectation, a normal expectation that amongst the Filipino people that if somebody has a foreigner as a boyfriend or something like that, that it's almost like it's an expectation, a requirement for that foreigner in some way or some more to give that financial support. And I guess it's probably because over the years where, their one neighbor girl who happened to have been the neighborhood beauty pageant queen ended up getting hooked up with a foreigner in, United States, Canada, Australia, or Britain or something like that. And he supported her family, because he happened to have been a doctor or a lawyer and had a terrific income or was a big, huge business owner. And so, it's almost like a tale that just keeps getting bigger and bigger on down the line. So, just be aware of that. There is a tremendously huge misconception there in the Philippines by the Filipino people that the only way for a good life or to be rich is to have a foreigner partner. And that ain't true. It's hard work. That's all it goes to. It's hard work and dedication is what gets you somewhere. And and over the course of the years, and it's sad to say, and I wish the attitudes would change there in that country, but it's like, because of, we got to get that foreigner, that's the only way to get rich. We got to get that foreigner, that's the only way to get rich. It's kind of made the people lazy, because, they can get in a relationship with the foreigner, and let's say the foreigner gives them, $200 or $300 a month or something like that. They're in a position where they can do that. And, that's equals out to, if it's $300, approximately 15,000 pesos, 400's approximately 20,000 pesos, and that's sometimes double the monthly salary in some of the locations where they live at, because it's not a It's not a countrywide minimum wage like it is here in the United States. From the little bit that I gathered, it basically goes province by province down to city by city, and sometimes neighborhood by neighborhood. So, so in some places, that 20,000 pesos can go a long ways. And so, they kind of like, got that expectation, that the foreigner's going to do that. And, and unfortunately for us on that end, it gives us, bad thoughts about them. And it puts us also in a very bad position, because it's like, okay, how do you judge a foreigner in the Philippines, in Filipinos' thoughts? Well, the foreigner's a good foreigner if the foreigner is given that financial support, but the foreigner is not a good foreigner if he don't. And it also holds true to this too. On this, the other thing is, okay, the Filipino can have multiple chatmates, which happen to be from different countries, but if they think that a foreigner is talking to a couple of Filipinas, then that's not good. The foreigner is bad. It's okay for the Filipino to do that, but it's not good for the foreigner to do that. It's kind of almost like the Filipino is never wrong and the foreigner is never right. It's always the foreigner's fault, Another good example with that would be is the Filipino woman has a child that's 5 or 6 years old, and has some health issues or something other like that. Let's say bad feet or bad legs or something like that, and it requires some braces, surgery or something other like that. And the foreigner man had been helping a little bit with that, and then suddenly the Filipino woman decides that the area that they live in, the medical care is not good enough, so they want to go to a bigger city and get that better help and stuff like that. Well, then the foreigner will tell them, hey, look, hey, my budget is thin as it is anyways, because I got my things I got to pay for here. And then, the Filipino woman in return, and it just so happens it trickles down to her family, to her friends, and everything like that. It's all, oh my goodness, the foreigner is no good because he will not send her child to a better medical facility. Where in all reality, what it is, they're just wanting that little bit more money, because what has happened is, instead of giving their child that full care in their local area, they want to, spend so much of it for the medical care, and then spend the other part for their wants and needs. Like if they happen to have a motorbike or a car or something like that, and they want to add some accessories to it, or if they happen to see that brand new iPhone or Samsung Galaxy S phone that recently come out, and they suddenly wanted that, and it's going to be, oh well, the only way I can do this if I shorten my child's medical care and help pay for that, then then suddenly that foreigner's a bad foreigner when they can't do any more than what they're already doing. So a foreigner is very highly scrutinized and judged by what they can give and what they can do for that Filipino woman and her family. And that's, I'm just telling you my experiences, man. These a couple of these has been experiences, that's for sure. I've been called a bad foreigner. I'm not going to lie about that. I have been called a bad foreigner by a Filipino family, by a Filipino's friends, and stuff like that. I had one of the friends. They messaged me. They told me they had so much pity for her, for her friend, the one that I was in association with at that time. then, this girl made the brag about how her foreigner is giving her like 80,000 pesos, 100,000 pesos, sometimes, once a week, or it might be a couple of months, or a month or something other like that, whatever it is. She was bragging, the big money, the real big money. And immediately I just stopped communicating with the girl, because I knew what was going on. It was all a big scam. That's all it was. It was all just a big scam trying to get me to give more. I mean, the girl was working at the time when I was in a relationship with her. She made an X amount of pesos, which, and where she lived at, and how she was living, it did help her out a lot. But she needed a little bit more than that. So I was in a position to basically double her monthly salary. But after 2 or 3 months, or something other like that, it was fine the first 2 or 3 months, and suddenly it's like, well, I need a little bit more than something. I need a little bit more than a little bit more. And, all of a sudden, instead of those needs, which the Filipino will express to you, oh, the only thing I'm worried about is my needs, suddenly those needs start turning into, I want. So, yeah, you can get real judged by a Filipino real quick when everything don't go their way. They want to be the one in control. There's no doubt about that. They do. They want to be the ones in control. So I really can't think too much more to say. If I do, I'll just make another video, because I'm starting to babble on. All right, anyways, you all have a good day. Hopefully you find this useful, and hopefully it'll help you someday. And if you got some experiences or something like that hasn't been mentioned, and you want to share with me or whatever, that's fine. Sure, man. Just message me, leave me a comment or something like that. Because I know every person has a different experience. Some has similar, but some have different experiences. And I'm interested in hearing that, because maybe there's something that I was missing. So, all right, anyways, you all have a good day. Thank you.